Welcome, good evening. This is Sagar Maudgal, and welcome to our marquee event of Startup Ignition Team. This is called as SIT Chat, Startup Ignition Team Chat. This happens on every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. And this is something that I and Dinakar volunteered to do as a part of SIT community. Today, I am filling in for our master, Mr. Dinakar. However, it always is a great pleasure to host SIT Chat. Now, before we head on to this SIT Chat, let us understand what exactly is SIT community. Now, SIT as a community is called Startup Ignition Team with the right reason for it. The reason being, we wanted to create an ecosystem for all the startup fraternity, be it ideas, be it a funding, that is investment, collaboration, or selling marketplace, etc., etc., etc. With all that is what Manoj Kabre, LK, and few others joined together, and later on we all got added on to this whole thing called as SIT, Startup Ignition Team as a community. Now, this has been very successful, and one such initiative is SIT Chat. Chat, what we do is we exchange knowledge. That is what we do over here among SIT community people. In that series, today we have got Sunil Satyendra. Before heading to Sunil Satyendra, let me give you an introduction about myself. My name is Sagar Maudgal, and I am a founder of a company called Creatrix Design Studio. We are into architectural designs in Bangalore. My other startup is into recruitment for manufacturing firms. I would also want to give you an introduction of Mr. Dinakar Murthy Krishna, who will be joining in a little late. I developed as a client engagement partner for Mr. Dinakar Murthy Krishna, that is for Samuthána Consulting LLP. What do we do in Samuthána Consulting is we create world-class companies and exceptional leaders through our own innovative methodology called as doHow. That is what we do. With that as an introduction, let me also give you a disclaimer. Now, the disclaimer is that we in SIT Chat, that is SIT Chat, we are here exchanging knowledge from the masters themselves. SIT Chat, that is SIT as a community, does not hold responsibility for what the speaker is going to speak. You want to utilize our speaker services, you're free to do so, but please do your own due diligence, and SIT shall not be responsible for any such things. It may go wrong if it goes wrong. And there has been never a complaint about our SIT presenters, but it is always to be safe than sorry. Okay. With that, I would want to introduce the young man over here. Our young man, Mr. Sunil Satyendra. Why do I call this young man is when I passed my engineering, this gentleman passed his 10th standard from the same school where I studied. That is what Sunil is. Now, within a less span, he has accomplished so much. Now, he began his career working with one of the great automotive component manufacturing company called as Bosch. He spent his most of the time working with Bosch. So obviously, he has picked a lot of things from Bosch. Why I would say obviously, because I also have a history with Bosch. Even I am a Boschler. So once we are Boschlers, we know that we learn a lot over there. Now, later on, he understood that he has a knack for coaching, and he went on to master his skills in coaching. He is also ICF coach. Now, more to do that, what I know of him also is he is a poet. He writes poems. He has written over 5,000 stories and poems, and that is his hobby as well as his probably one of his way of service. Now, with that, let me welcome Sunil. And what are we talking today about is the emotional well-being. Now, we know that emotions make and emotions break us. With that, what is very important for us is to understand what does these emotions do for a startup world if we are a founder or if we are in the ecosystem. Sunil, from here on, all yours. Please take it forward. And anybody who wants to have a discussion or wants to raise a question, Please introduce yourself, raise your hands, then we'll permit you for asking questions. Over to you, Sunil.
Fantastic. So thank you, first of all, to the entire SIT community. I'm a very new and young member here, and I love the interactions that I've had. Some very fantastic conversations with Sagar sir. A lot of messaging with Manojji. Met a lot of fantastic people here, and the journey continues. And it's a joy to come here and start sharing what is the space that I come from. I'm very passionate about. So a lot of us do feel, especially in a startup world, that there is no space for emotions. Let's not take emotional decisions. Let's not get emotional about a certain topic. Let's remain in a space where we don't really heed to emotions. But emotions are a fantastic thing. So they are actually a space where emotions are in some way a messenger of some of the needs that we have as individuals. And individuals as a bracket definitely does qualify for anybody who is in the startup sector as well. But in terms of the startup sector, specifically for somebody who is young, new, or into the sector, not necessarily in terms of the age. So there's always a space where there are questions, there are confusions. Can you please unmute? Sorry, mute, please.
Has completed its first operation inside the Gaza
Sagar, you can go mute.
Stated that a large number of Israeli citizens
Hi, Sagar.
Hamas were
Hemant, can you
as a
mute,
result
please?
of an operation organized by an Israeli special.
I think this is coming from you.
Me.
No. I think now it's started. So fantastic. I think a very nice introduction to the way this is. What are some of the emotions that went through in the last 15 seconds is something that's always interesting. So I stopped in terms of say a slight shift in terms of hearing my own voice, hearing something else, and then there were a few who reacted saying, can you mute? And then Sagar was suddenly like, oh, where am I in this picture? So we on a daily basis deal with emotions at an everyday space, and it's an every second space. So whatever we're getting is a sensors in terms of our thoughts or anything that's happening as an event generally triggers a space of processing of these external data. The data is processed basically as feelings. And the feelings are manifesting in terms of some of the things that we call in terms of names. That usually at a lot of places get put under 4 categories: the glad, the mad, the bad, and the sad. So 4 very strong categories. And how does that affect us as somebody who's been in this sector? I think it affects us because it affects humans and all those that have the system of expression in terms of how they process certain events, certain scenarios. So all of us feel emotions, and all of us do take decisions that are very strongly guided by our brain. And specifically in terms of a startup space, a few examples. So you are a founder, and sometimes you are, most of the times you're meeting people from all across the world, and you're meeting people from different, say, age, different cultural backgrounds, different spaces which they're coming from, and there is a lot of interaction. So the emotions are getting triggered internal to you because of your internal thought process, and the emotions are getting triggered to you because of somebody who is externally acting as a stimuli. Could be a person, it could be a scenario, it could be anything else. So you're always navigating emotions. And I say we're looking at it as an emotional well-being. So well-being is something that it's not well-doing, it is well-being. So a lot of us in this space are really on a hunt. So we are really pushing the limits in terms of moving our thought processes, our processes, our profits, the people that we're meeting. So there's a lot of pressure that there is around ourselves, our teams. There's pressure from the team to who you are. whether you're a solopreneur, you have a larger team, you have a mid-sized team. So there's a lot of pressure that is on us as a startup ecosystem. And that is something that, really is a thing to be addressed. So are we going to look at it in a place and say, shrug it off, saying, oh, emotions are not going to be something that I'm going to look at. I will not even process some of the emotions. You may be feeling sad, you may be feeling frustrated, you may be feeling irritated. So there's a bandwidth or a spectrum between feeling sad, feeling irritated, feeling frustrated, feeling pissed off, somebody losing their mind about it. So somebody venting out, somebody who's shouting in anger. So there is a need for every human to process their emotions. And how do we process them? Do we put it under the rug? And if then it is basically like we're creating certain cancers to us at a later point of time. I use the word not in the most medical of senses, but does affect. Clinical studies have shown that emotions do stay with you, and there are emotions that carry from genetics as well. There's a space for it. So you do usually see a generational space. So somebody who's maybe some of our parents are scared of risk taking. It also comes to us as a space saying we are also a little risk averse. And that's not something that's never been told to us in any of the spaces. But over a period of time, it has been fed to us through genetics, to our own beliefs. So as every individual, we work with emotions, we work with some of our beliefs, some of our value systems, and so many things else. And that is where coaching as a space does come in. And well-being as a space is also not just about some, say, simple aspects, saying, I am doing meditation or I am doing journaling. There are so many other aspects around the space of well-being. Is that how do you feel about yourself? Your own stories that you're telling yourself are also part of the wellness bandwagon. And as somebody who's a startup founder, somebody who's working in a startup, one of the things I have seen and I have also experienced is the pressure there is around showing up in the right way, making sure that there are no spaces for failures, and failures are quickly moved out of. And there are a lot of spaces where we're saying, okay, just go with it, endure this space. And at some points of time, it may get a little too much for all of us. And that is where the process of well-being begins. And I say very strongly because it is a process. It is something that can be learned by everybody. It can be replicated again and again. It can be scaled to a space. So, we from India love the space of threes. So three gunas, and there are, Vishnu, Brahma, and Maheshwara. So Holy Trinity. So space of emotions can be really put into three buckets. And that is first the space of, or the well-being is what we see at the top, the iceberg. In the space of emotional regulation, wherein certain emotions are getting triggered, but you don't react or respond to it or able to process it. There's the processing part and the regulation part. And most importantly, before you even get to regulation, is the space of actually understanding our emotions or being even aware of them. So awareness of the emotions is something that begins, or it's the starting point, it's the nodal point, and that's where your journey begins. And an emotional well-being or spiritual well-being, there are a lot of well-beings that are physical well-being. So it is about the entirety. It is a holistic approach. It is not just a simple understanding. It is a process that comes, and that's where the processing actually shifts or takes over. So let me give you an example of how emotional well-being for startup coaches, or generally for startups is. So I did have a person, not breaching confidentiality of the coaching sector, but I did work with somebody who had a lot of issues around how they process failure. And two of their startups had not worked. And he was getting into the third sector. And this was something new. And he was very confident about the product, but then he was very scared to get into that space. And he kept telling me for 3 sessions that no, Sunil, it's not going to work out for me. Until I broach the subject saying, what are you feeling? And some of us, even as individuals and even as startup sectors, how often do you ask yourself as to what you're feeling? So just a question around reflection. Maybe I will take those questions when I switch off sharing, and then leave you with that particular thought. And also emotions are something that the physiological space is where you feel it. So some of us feel it in their eyebrows, some of us feel it in their throat, some of us in the heart space, some of us with their heart palpitations, some of us with, it feels funny in the stomach. Sometimes it feels wobbly in the legs. There are a few spaces where emotions do come into the space. And these emotions are messengers of a certain need that is being not taken care of. And
Are you sharing something? Because I mean, we cannot see anything.
no, this is straight from the heart.
Sharing vocally.
Sharing vocally, yes.
Pakad liya na, Hemant bhai.
Yeah, sharing vocally and sharing from the heart. So
Hey, that is there.
Perfect. So emotions and wellness. What is the space, or what is the metaphor that comes to you when we speak of wellness? If it is like a radiant space that's behind you, and here I also have a radiant background, that's a different story. But a radiant space that comes to you that says everything is working. Is that a space of emotional wellness? I would beg to differ at that point. It could be a space of emotional wellness, but I think at some points we're also navigating a certain, say, roller coaster in our lives, and how we're able to navigate it such that it doesn't affect our everyday lives. So today morning I had I'm part of a lot of WhatsApp groups, and so would you be. And there was a forward that was basically not the best to be forwarded in a group of, say, a certain sector of people. It was derogatory to a certain sector. And, a lot of people felt uncomfortable about it, but nobody said anything. And I basically voiced out saying, maybe this is not the right forum to share it. Can you please delete it? There was a lot of up and down. There was a lot of spaces. And the person on the other side was offended, saying, how come somebody who's very new to the group talk something about this, because I have been in the group for so many spaces. It's a real possibility that it happens in a startup sector. It's you're working with somebody who's even your mentor, and he or she shares something that may not be open for you, and you feel that, why is this person talking like this? It could end up being a barrier to your emotions. And like Sagar basically said, emotions can break you, and emotions can also put you at a place where you can actually work it out. So if you're able to sort of bring that space, saying, oh, why am I feeling like this? Or what is the emotion that I'm currently feeling? So we can go into these sectors. Maybe the coach inside me will come into that space saying, now are we really processing this emotion? Where do I feel it in my body? Do I feel it in my stomach? Do I feel it in my hands? Do I feel it in my heart? Where does it start to feel? And once we start feeling, it's sort of disassociating our initial reaction to that. So there's a 7-second rule. So if somebody irritates you or somebody triggers an emotion, if you don't respond to it for 7 seconds, you are at a space, you can do it mindfully. You're giving a distance between the emotion and the you. So you are not your emotions. You are not the name that you carry, and you're not the profession that you are in. So beyond a startup founder, you're an individual. You may have certain hobbies, certain interests. So a lot of these structures does come in. I am sort of navigating all these topics because all of these topics are dependent on emotions, and emotions do drive us, and emotions, or we get also driven by emotions. And here there are two aspects. Why was I getting triggered? Because somebody had said something derogatory against somebody. Maybe I was getting into it because I felt offended by it, and I didn't see anybody else also come into it and share anything. I took it upon myself to share something. And there's also, understanding of who you are as well, that comes into place. Saying now I'm a little more self-aware, and with self-awareness, I also take better decisions. And even in terms of decision making, even the awareness of what emotion I'm currently feeling actually changes a lot of things for you. So I am also afraid of driving cars. with Bangalore traffic, I think it is definitely a possibility that a lot of people are not comfortable with it. But I have a very strong fear around it. I have sort of navigated that by using different methods of actually reaching to that place way earlier, using public transport and all that. But I know for sure that this is a chink in my armory, that if I have to really get to a place from point A to B at the fastest of point with sheer independence, it is going to be a tough gig for me. So what I do is I sort of work a way around it. So when you are aware of how your emotions are either up-ramping you or sabotaging you at a certain particular point, you are able to navigate it a lot more better. So here I pause, and I had actually asked you to sort of get to the session with the space of saying, what are 3 things that made you happy today? Anybody who had volunteered for that or done that exercise? Sagar has done it. Fantastic. So I will maybe just pause for here, and I have another 4 more minutes according to time sector. So do we do this now, Sagar, or wait for another 4?
We can continue. We can continue. I mean, since we can start off your interaction. No problem with that.
So
we are not like nothing is just on stone.
Fantastic. So until now, I hope I've given you a trailer as to what is emotional well-being, specifically for those who are in the startup sector. And it's an emotional being for everybody. So if you are human, you qualify. And there's a subset and a superset of you here with being a space of the background of the startup sector. So 3 things that made you happy today, Sagar, what were they?
First one was, I mean, the session my son took today. I was really surprised, happy that he wrote 2 good stories. Okay. And that was the first one. Second one was another SITN made me very happy today. It is Ravindra, whom I spoke. If you notice, SIT meetup is happening on this Saturday. Ravindra came forward and he said, Sagar, BizHub is a co-working space. I want to offer this to SITNs. It is in Kormangala. And I mean, the regular venue of us this Saturday was booked, and I tried all my ways to work around to get that venue and alternate over there, but he did not. But Ravindra came as a great help. The universe conspired because I wanted all of the SITNs to meet up. So Ravindra helped me. The third one is one of my client is undergoing one serious problem, and for that I had to find a consultant. And again, universe conspired. There was another networking community which helped me by giving a great help. It was like the doctor ordered, and it was there. So these are the 3 things that made me happy today.
And when you're sharing about
plus one. I have plus one. After a long time, I did cook today. My mother is out and my wife was away. So I had to cook, and it came out really good, and I was happy about it. I cook good, and after a long time I cook, and I'm happy about that.
Nice. So when you're sharing about what made you happy, I think also what was very noticeable is that you are smiling, you are sharing with sort of a vibe that sort of also inspires others to also look at what made them happy. The point I'm trying to make...
none of them turn on their videos, Sunil, apart from Banu Madam. Banu Madam always turns their video on. None of them turn their video on, as though I'm going to come and snatch their dinner. Hey, thanks, Rohit. LK, thanks.
So the space here is that there is this. Now I'm also happy. I'm seeing Rohit. I'm seeing Lakshmikant. I'm seeing Namrata. So all of them are now being seen. So you've also made us overall happy about seeing each other. So thank you for that. And just around that space, saying when you are being happy or when you're talking about being happy, you also mirror that space. You went to that space. You were there. You did a recollection. And you feel happy again, the hormones are back. So you are feeling those happy hormones hit you. And then you are elevating a space where you may not. So if you were bored before, now you're happy. If you are not bored before, then it's good that I am taking that as a good thing that I've kept you, on your, with your attention. I have your attention. So different ways in which we're looking at it. There's a different space called a world of transaction analysis. So we're transacting with people, we're transacting with organizations, we're transacting with scenarios. And at a lot of times we feel that there is a space wherein I have a need for recognition, and that need for recognition is universal. Yeah, so bandwidth issues, so no problems. Yeah, so it's a universal need for us to get recognized. And I think that doesn't go away now that we're founders of startups, now that we're founders of an organization, we're leading certain spaces. There's always a need for us to give and take. So if you see the example of what happened with Sagar, so he was looking for someone, and basically Ravi turned up and put a hand and said, I'm going to do this. And there's also a space where he cooked something and then he went in. So it was not that necessarily that all your life is revolving around the organization that you're building. There are things that are there apart from that need equal attention. I think there was somebody previously who had come around physical well-being. So he was I think a runner that I had seen, also part of the SIT chat. There are emotions. Emotions are felt by everybody, and there is at times a space and need for us to say, I acknowledge that you exist. And that simple acknowledgement is sometimes the most enriching and most fulfilling of conversations. And maybe I'd like to leave that thought with you, but one last thought. And when I ask and I take questions, is how many of you have conversations with yourself? Sagar has raised the finger, not that it's the hand. Hemant, I can see you. Yes, Rohitji, I can see you.
Good. Now the forum is open for questions. Yes, Dr. Namrata, anybody who would want to ask questions, rule number one, please let us know who you are, what do you do, and we'll be very happy to see face to the voice.
Yeah.
Dr. Namrata from Hubballi, you had raised your hand for a question, Dr. Namrata?
No. He asked a question, for that I raised the hand.
Yeah. So you do have conversations.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, we have got in queue LK and we've got Architect Supriya. Let's go with Architect Supriya. Go ahead, Architect Supriya.
Yeah, Architect Supriya, and I'm
Supriya,
the
you are on
co-founder
mute.
of. Am I audible?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Architect Supriya, I'm a co-founder of Creatrix Design Studio into ecological architecture. The wall behind me is the types what we generally do and we prefer to do and we want to do. And my question to you, Mr. Sunil, is see, a person is made of a lot of emotions, and his well-being depends on all the emotions. How do you assess that? Which are the areas that you need to attend? How do you assess to that?
That I would definitely invite you to look up a coach and and look at it. But answering in a space, maybe just whenever you're feeling that space where you are overwhelmed or underwhelmed with a certain emotion, write it down and just sit with that emotion for some time. So a lot of us say maybe you're very happy at a particular point of time. Just sit with that feeling as to why it got triggered. Why are you so happy? What made you so happy? And have there been other scenarios where you've been not happy with the same trigger? So a little bit of a self-reflection does help as to what are some of the things that make you comfortable with emotions. And once you're getting a little bit comfortable, you are able to come to that. So wellness is the topmost part. It's above the iceberg, or at the pyramid end of the top of the pyramid. And even regulation is maybe second. But to even space that what is the emotion that you're currently feeling, that also is something that needs to be started. So even at a space, if we see the real emotions chart, it carries a lot of emotions. But the ones that we are really looking at or putting it in a broad spectrum is that either we are glad, we are sad, we are mad, or we are bad. So there are 4 structures. So
thank you.
Yeah, going in a little depth, you can actually go.
Let's go with Dinakar, the master himself. Yes, Dinakar, before your flight takes off. Dinakar, you can ask.
LK wanted something, right? You want to give chance to LK?
No, I'll give to LK later because if your flight
LK
takes
was
off, then
earlier
I'll-
to me.
No, it's okay. I'll request LK to ask later. If your flight takes off, then I'll miss your question. LK, ask
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. So first is sorry, I got delayed a little because the flight got delayed from Bombay, from Aurangabad. So I have a comment, Sunil. First of all, thanks a lot for coming to the sit chat. Then I have a question to you. The first comment is you asked what are the 3 things that made you happy. I was reflecting. I don't remember whether I was happy or sad or anxious, or it was just like a music. Okay. The
Mhm.
entire day was very, very fast. There was no, I don't know what happened. The day has gone by. I don't know whether it is good or bad. I feel many a times we give a lot of emphasis for a lot of things that we need not really bother. Moment there is a purpose, moment your goals are clear, then that drives you. The most important thing, in my opinion, is to keep yourself fully busy. The moment you are idling, there's a very strong saying in English, right? Idle man's mind is devil's workshop. So that's when I think one gets into all kinds of conflicts, is what I feel. That's the comment. Because I don't know. I can't think of anything that made me happy or sad or anything in that direction. Now, question to you, Sunil, is see, one is you spoke about emotional wellness from an individual's perspective. From an organization's perspective, what do you think one can do so that you create an environment which is conducive for emotional wellness?
Oh, fantastic question. So, first of all, thank you for the comment and also sharing. And I think I'd also start with that sharing. That for an organization, so I worked with Bosch. It's a huge organization, and one of the things that I did find is a space of psychological safety. And psychological safety is one of the space where for an emotional being of the individual and for emotional well-being of an organization, psychological safety is something that's very, very important. Psychological safety, what I mean by it is that as an individual, I am completely safe in whatever emotions I'm bringing in. I'm happy to be who I am in the organization, and who I am in an organization is accepted. And that sort of safety for people to be themselves, express their emotions, becomes a space where emotional wellness or the wellness of an organization, as well as an individual and a team, becomes something that is paramount. And so when we're talking about a space here, so how do we handle our so-called failures? How do we handle success? How do we handle, say, lackluster performance? How do we talk to each other? What is the underbelly of certain emotions that we're talking? So if there is no underbelly and it is basically very transparent to all of us, and we are at a space where we are saying, I didn't like that, or maybe I didn't understand that, or maybe I'd like to sort of understand what made you say so. So if that open dialogue is open, then I think it is a space where organizations do flourish, and people are bringing their best foot forward. And they do it not because it is something that drives them through goal sheets that are there in the organization, but it drives them because they want to do something about it. So it sort of creates a space where it is about my organization and my space. There's an emotional buy-in from the individual, and that is a collective. It's not a one-person thing. It's a collective, and it starts off with somebody actually taking it up, and then it becomes a space. And most of the times, the onus falls on the manager to do it. But I think it's not really the manager's need. Everybody can contribute to psychological safety, and everybody can contribute to a space that is safe for people's emotions.
Well,
So
nice.
just
Thank
a
you.
follow-up question very quickly, Sunil. What do you think a startup founder should do as a routine practice or a habit to inculcate that situation?
As an individual, maybe start on, you say, some practice of journaling, some practice of gratitude journaling, Even if that space of saying, maybe noting down some of the things that made them feel certain things, not just happy, but whatever they were feeling. And also a sense of shared vulnerability. I think that is something that I find in my experience so far, that people are not really vulnerable in terms of sharing their stories. Any space where they're sharing vulnerabilities, they're sharing where they come from, what is their journey, to a larger audience, to a larger, to even their own self. I think that really matters, and that sets a tone for the entire organization.
No, more than the what one could do individually, I was looking at from the organization's perspective. Let us say I have a team of 20 people. What practice do I need to inculcate so that the 20 become more, feel more emotionally secure, and they believe that it's an ambience of emotional wellness?
So I'd share from example here. So one of the things that I was fortunate enough to drive inside the organization was what we called a safe circle, and people from different parts of the world were just coming in, and it was a place where we don't talk about anything that's got to do with the outcomes or anything that's got to do with the technical space of a space. We just sit there and we talk about things that have happened in the day. So we just have a normal conversation that has no anchoring to anything, nothing employee engagement, nothing. So it's a one-to-one, all filters are off. We're talking as energies. So everybody is an energy source. We're talking to each other. And there is a space of authenticity that we're not doing it just because it is a tick mark in our HR requirement, or a tick mark that we need to do, that we're doing it. If any of us, if all of us start to bring that authenticity into that space of a safe circle, I think that will work, and that does wonders.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I really hope that the startup guys have time to do that, because normally it's a 18-hour shift for a startup company. Anyway, thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Sunil.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Now we'll go to the person who is always balanced in emotions whenever I have met him in person or over phone. It is our beloved LK from Pune.
Thank you very much, Sagar, for all the good words. Sunil, I really appreciate and thank you very much, and feel sorry about joining late. I came back late, and then that is the reason I could not join early. I was driving. So probably forgive me if my question is already covered in your earlier delivery, or part of answer might be in the answer you gave to just now, the question which was asked.
Yeah,
Dinakar asked one question, organization. So my question is similar. I don't know whether it is same or similar or different. You are the judge. So the question is about, is there any way or method to check the emotional well-being or the emotional quotient of the organization? Like I heard and I read a couple of times about the happiness quotient or happiness index, and this is being measured at the country level. I saw some rankings. The Nepal comes under top, and India goes 50th, or sees at that some number. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to quote the numbers, but I have seen this several times for the happiness. So same way, is there any way to check the emotional quotient of the organization? If yes, is it available here in India for organizations, for startups, or the companies which are MSME level, below 100 kind of things? So, because these are the companies which has all sorts of challenges, and limited budgets always. So this is the question. And coming back to your point, mention the 3 moments. It was for today, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the first moment of happiness was my wife delivered a session today, first time in the organization, where there were like 80 plus people, listening to her and some interactions. And that was a first of its kind. A lot of anxiety was there before going and delivering, and it went very, very well. So the first happy moment of today, after listening to that, I was not there, but after listening. Second happy moment was like Sagar's similar case. One of my friend and our other SITN was looking for a financial plus business consultant who can guide him on the business to take good decisions. So he tried several people before, and today I took one of my close friend who could be a good consultant for him, or good person for the role which he's looking at. We had almost 1.5 hour long discussion, and the discussion started with saying that I don't need a CA. That was the first sentence, and the last sentence was, I think we have found what we were looking for. Let's wait for my another co-founder to join in next meeting, and then we will take it forward. So it was a wonderful interaction. How it got how you call it, transformed from extreme negative to extreme positive side in that 1.5 hour. So I was just enjoying. I was facilitating in between, but mostly enjoying the discussion. So that was another happy moment. And the third happy moment was after several breaks, I could join the SIT chat today, even though after some time. And I'll give a bonus fourth. After listening to you, feeling more happy.
Thank you so much. I think the pleasure is mine.
And last point, before concluding, one more question which I had, because you asked us very, very last sentence or a question. You said, I leave you, all of you, with a question. So for that question, I have a question for you, that how to do that.
Yeah.
How to do that. I mean, everybody wants to do that. I also want to do that, but I don't know how to do it. So if you can throw some light on that, how you can converse with yourself by giving some examples, so that we can start implementing, or at least correlate and do something like that.
Yeah. So
thank you very much.
So I will, first of all, congratulations to your wife on the first step in a lot of many more conversations. I hope many more workshops, webinars, and there's always joy in whenever somebody compliments you, and you also get a compliment in return. So yeah, so answer your last question first. So how do we have conversations with ourselves? I'd say any safe space. Maybe I don't know if I'm basically putting the bandwagon of coaching outside, but I'd say a coach or a mentor can be two very strong places where you can have that conversation with yourself, provided they're asking you the right questions. And it starts with as simple as how you're feeling, and maybe it is that space that even without a need for a coach, or even without a need for a mentor, you're able to answer for yourself, because you know the answers deep within. It may not come out through words, it may come out through how you feel. Maybe you can write it, maybe put it into a color, sketch, draw, and basically make sure that it is out of your system, and you are able to sort of now reflect it from a distance out there. But I definitely recommend myself as a coach. You can always have conversations with yourself through me as a coach. So generally through coaching, I think coaching or mentoring or any safe space where you're sharing. The way I say it, because when you're talking, when you share it out loud, and when you hear whatever you're sharing, it's almost as if the conversation is, whatever's inside is playing outside. So
okay, got it.
That's how I answer the last question first. And now the first question last. I am not exactly aware of any of the assessments that are singular in nature. There are spaces, I think, where people do come in and consult about what is the organization doing. But I'd say the metrics of a quotient around happiness is how much is the attrition rate in the organization. Is something that is a indirect way to sort of look at it. From certain organizations do look at it. What is the longevity of somebody's career in an organization? How long do they stay in an organization is one of the metrics. How committed and how passionate are people out there? What else is the organization doing? And are there people who are doing things that are not part of their equation in terms of a goal sheet and still doing it beyond their, whatever is the contribution? Are people ready to contribute to an organization? And is the organization equally contributing back in the right respect? So are their needs being met, be it financial, be it emotional, be it any other space? These are some of the smaller nuances can be worked out even for a smaller organization, MSMEs as well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Happy to have a longer chat on it.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, this was
Thanks.
good enough for now. Thank you.
Yes, Rajul, you have raised your hand. Please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are. After Rajul, we have got one question in the chat box, which I will be asking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So I am Rajul and I'm a co-founder of Proximal Soil Sense. It's an agri-tech company. And today this is the first session I think I'm joining because I saw about emotional well-being, and I think being a solo founder kind of a person, I think I thought I'll just join and listen to everybody else. I did not even think of interacting today. But yeah, because it was, so I am not talking more like from an organization perspective, but what I want to know, like as a individual, right? I'm a co-founder, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm mother, right? I have so many more emotions which goes on. And for me, everything is as important as each other. I mean, there is nothing. So when I want to see, like, let's say every individual, whether it's an employee, whether it's a son, daughter, or anybody, have a very different coping mechanism with any sadness or a sad, bad, mad, whatever you say, any of those situations. So what is the right kind? Like somebody can take up some kind similar situation and cope up easily and move with their work, but some people get very badly affected by that. They're not very easy to cope up in that situation. How as a leader or how as a person I can help that other person? So that is my question.
I think so that's another perspective around, say, what if you are an individual organization and what if you are the individual. So I heard you share about all the roles that you take upon in say the everyday life that you are having. So there are emotional coping mechanisms, and it differs from person to person and differs from situation to situation. The same situation or the same emotion that you're dealing with, how to cope with that changes with time. So it's an individualization of a situation. So nothing can be sort of general formula. And if you're talking about another person getting affected, another person, say their coping mechanisms, I think what does start off the emotional wellness journey is a one-to-one conversation that what I'm seeing or what I'm observing with you is that you're not coping up with a certain amount of stress. Maybe it could be about stress. I observe that something is happening like this, and it's affecting you and maybe indirectly affecting me as the overall smaller organization that there is, or it is affecting the ecosystem. Would you like to have a conversation with it? So a conversation is a beautiful starter.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Sagar, you're on mute.
I muted myself. Okay, I hope it answered your question. Now, Namrata, do you have a question? You came on a video. Else, I'll ask one question that is there on the comments.
I do have a question.
Please go ahead.
Like
Dr. Namrata.
you told about, yeah, I'm Namrata Hedi, founder of Vega Herbals. We are currently developing a herbal gel to treat early stage breast cancer. So my question was, you told about speaking to oneself, having conversation with oneself. I have this tendency before conversing with someone on some topic. I have this tendency to think about if I speak in this manner, how will they respond? Or should I speak it in this way or that way? all possibilities, probabilities, and combinations in my mind before I actually speak to that person. Is that a good habit or a bad habit which leads to overthinking and stress?
I think, as a coach, one of the things that I will ask you is, what do you feel about it? From whatever you're sharing, it is something that may not work for you in all situations. So that's the vibe that I am getting.
Sometimes I hold off the conversation just because I feel it won't work.
Yeah. It could be something that your emotions are telling you, that what you're observing. So, there's a wisdom of many years of evolution, millions of years of evolution, that sometimes your gut instinct is telling you that it may not work. You still go through with the process sometimes. And maybe at some point, whatever you're also thinking of could also be a space of we really brush our teeth, and sometimes over a period of 2 or 3 years, we are not even conscious of the brushing of the teeth. It becomes a proper conditioned reflex. In proper biological terms, it's a conditioned reflex. Maybe there is a space for us to even say, maybe have a conversation, whether it is something that's a conditioned reflex that's sabotaging certain aspects of your space, or is it something that is maybe helping you, saying it's a warning sign that something may not be right in a particular situation. It's maybe again a situational space. But from what I shared, what I heard you share, it could be a space where it is maybe needing a little more of a conversation. I'm happy to take it offline. Yeah.
Okay, Dinakar has a question. Dinakar has raised his hand again. Yes, Dinakar, please go ahead.
I only wanted to make a comment. Maybe Sunil, you could possibly elaborate on that. See, a lot of topics which we keep discussing, right? Sometimes I feel it's a kind of a mind game, because if you look at each one of us are born to live, born to succeed, born to prosper. But our mind takes us in a way that you keep on discussing, keep on thinking, keep on doing this, keep on doing that. And there are a lot of gurus, whether it is a coach or a godman or whoever it is, who keep talking about so much gyan, so one gets confused, So I feel most important thing is that one is occupied, and whatever that is, you do it. Each one of us are different. We cannot be the same. We cannot clone. Is what I believe. Okay. So I just want you to comment on that. It's basically a mind game. Look at somebody, if they want to have a problem, one is you can go and consult somebody, right? Definitely it's a good thing to do. But on the other hand, you look at it, they're born to have a great life. Why is it that there are people who are, what should I say, accepting to discuss on issues which really don't exist many a time. We keep thinking a lot. I think it's all about just believing in yourself and carrying on, because all of us have ups and downs. What is your comment on that?
I think ups and downs, definitely. I think we do see the ups and downs. It is a mind game. Sometimes the battle is fought more in imagination than in reality. So, and again, it's a space for everybody to see it differently. And I think that's what makes each of us, unique. So we are a bundle of our emotions, our feelings, our thought processes, our set structures, our belief systems, our upbringing, our the environment and the space that the timelines that we're living in. So all that definitely adds to it. And I think at times, if you're looking at a solution, it may be different for everybody else. Everybody has a different solution. And and everybody has a different coping mechanism, I think, taking from whatever was shared before.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunil. Now, Beach Banu Madam from Chennai, who does holistic financial planning. You need to unmute to ask your question.
Yes. Hi, friends. This is Beach Banu, as Sagar has named me last week, and I'm a holistic financial planner. Thank you, Sunil, for this time. I have one question. When I become emotional meaning like the stressed part, I start to work left, right, center, top, bottom. 24/7, I'll pull out something and I will ensure I work so that my mind is just diverted. And once I finish, I take even 10 minutes break, I'm again into the same emotion. I don't know how to get out of it, and I just linger on the same thing till after a few days it just gets out of my system, like it's enough. But those few days is really traumatic. Is there a way that I can really come out of it? A practice that will help me.
I think practice is getting aware. So I think the first space that says, oh, whenever you're in that space, so you know that this is the space that is, you are in that sort of a stressed mode. And that is one of the reasons why you're overworking or, really gunning it. At a lot of places, sometimes what we call it as, we call something as racket feelings. So sometimes we want to express certain things, but we essentially expressing something else. So maybe there is something that we are deflecting that we don't want to address at some point. So there may be a space where your coping mechanism over a period of time has been that you work, and that'll get you where you want to. But there could be something that is not addressed, and that is causing you to look at it as a pattern. And maybe there's a conversation around what is that pattern and how you can unlearn the pattern. And it's a process.
Thank you. Sunil, I have got two questions. One, my question, and the other one is Bharti has just left, but she has put a question. My question is this. This is my problem. The way that I am trying to cope up with my negative emotions is I eat a lot. Whenever I am stressed or whenever I am emotional, this emotional craving, okay, and when I want to get out of my emotions, I go out, I eat a lot, and this I know is not the right way. What would you as a coach suggest? That is my one question. The contrary to this question is what Bharti has asked. Bharti says, I have become emotionless. Whenever I am supposed to be sad, I am not sad. And whenever I win contracts or that I'm supposed to be happy, I'm not happy. Where am I? What am I? How do you guide as a coach? So you've got two people. Okay, one me who eats a lot. I'm talking about the negative emotions. The other one who is now gone to become a saint, totally emotionless.
I'd say two things. Well, the first question being, what is the trigger for you to eat? So if it's stress, so what is happening physiologically in the body is that there are hormones that are secreted as an after effect to say a certain emotional need, and the emotional need is being addressed to by some other source. So, for example, you really want a chocolate, and your parents are like, "No, you've eaten enough." What you will do is you'll circumnavigate, you'll go to your grandmother and say, my mom is not allowing me to eat. So you get it from that sector. So at some points, it is that the need is not getting processed by the way it needs to be. So that need is getting processed by someone else or something else. So usually that's the trigger around the understanding of why there is a space of, say, eating. So because when you eat, you do feel happy. So it's a happy hormone that gets secreted. And specifically when you eat something sweet, the effect is a little even more. So cortisol, I think, is a stress hormone, if I'm getting it right. So cortisol, for you to move out of the cortisol space, you need happy hormones. And that is coming through maybe even cycling, some of them maybe to just take a break, coffee, tea, looking at the sunset. Maybe I'd stop the suggestions there, but I think it could be that something that works for you in terms of what makes you switch off that need, or either look at what is the background. So again, invitation around coaching. I can actually facilitate that coaching as to what is the situation that is there that is triggering this sort of an output. If you have to change the output, I think do we have to change the input or the processing machinery?
Okay, thanks. Yeah. And what would the question that Bharti has left?
I think Bharti's left is, I think maybe it is again individualistic space, but I'd say in terms of when you say you're, so, for example, sensitivity. So you have a rubber band, you keep pulling it. So sometimes it comes back to the original position and sometimes it just breaks. So there are spaces where certain emotions are getting triggered, but I don't think you are even responding. The body is not responding to it because it has become immune to it. So your Instagram, for example, is or any social media app right now is designed to get your attention. And it's such a dopamine hit that after some point, you'll need to have a really good thing for it to actually say, okay, now I'm enjoying this. You continuously keep on scrolling such that there is one hit that gets you back. So there could be a space where your body is not able to recognize that this is the input and this is the emotion that you're feeling. And that's a very real possibility when it is so washed up. So there's so many things that have happened that your sensors are not tuned. So your sensor is gone. So what it needs is maybe a sit down with some tinkering to those sensors, and it will come back.
Nice.
Maybe
Good. So, are there any further questions? Because we have kind of come to we are more shorter schedule, but it was quite interesting. But I suppose we can still accommodate interesting questions. Anybody else has questions?
Anybody else? Maybe I also have an announcement to make at the end of it.
Announcement. Before that, may I please request all of you to come on camera for just few moments. I want to take a video. I mean, I want to take a screenshot so that it helps in SIT's community. I want to send this to SIT community. Thank you all. Wait for a moment. One sec. Somebody's thumb came. You can keep talking in the meanwhile, Sunil.
Yeah.
Let me take the screen.
I think one of the things that I wanted to sort of share is that, in the month of November, and if you're from Karnataka, I am offering 3 conversations for people without any charges around this, specifically at a coaching background. And in November, if you are somebody who identifies yourself as a man, it is also pro bono. 3 conversations, and so Sagar, you only get either Kannada or this thing. So only 3, not 3.
No, Kannada definitely male.
So this is for International Men's Day. So coaching is completely pro bono, and maybe there's if there's some possibility of Lobono from say SIT as an overall space, I'd be happy to be your SIT's coach. That's a open invitation to Sagar, Rohit, Lakshmikant, and Manojji. That if you ever need a coach specifically for SIT, I'd put my hand up.
Done. Thanks. Okay, with that, we've got another announcement for all those who can make it up to Bangalore this Saturday. It is SIT Bengaluru Meetup. And this is not going to be the same kind of format what we had in all the last 6 months. The 7th month, we are having a change in our SIT format. So, Delhi walo, Varanasi walo, suno, hum log SIT meetup kar rahe hain. Pune wale bhi sun rahe ho. So, book your flights, come down, and this is going to be a surprise packet. Yes, Chennai madam, Beach Banu madam, you are also welcome. But to the rest of the Bangalore fraternity, please welcome. This is on Saturday, 9 a.m. It is at Koramangala, Sony Signal. And this space is provided by our own SITM, who manages a co-working space called as BizHub. So please come down, and jo nahi aaye, Delhi walo, Chennai walo, Pune walo, jalte raho. Thank you.
Okay, Bangalore walo.
Thank you. And it has been a great session. It's really engaging, and probably our people would still wanted to ask, but kya kare? Gabbar ke dost hai, so I will have to put a full stop.
Gabbar ke dost se matlab ki kya?
I'm Rohit's friend. So I'll have to stop at this. LK, you had something to say? You raised your hand.
No. I just said thank you very much. I was just saying bye because you said गब्बर के दोस्त है तो मतलब जल्दी से बाय कर लेते हैं तो.
Hope all of you enjoyed. What I request is please keep coming to SIT chat, sit chat. Next Thursday again we'll have very interesting sessions. And
question: Are you extorting from people? Extortion from people? In my name? Are you doing extortion in my name?
अभी नहीं, अभी चालू करना है, करूँगा.
चालू करना है.
करूंगा रोक सके तो रोको anyways please keep influencing our own SIT members and non-SIT members also to keep coming on sit chat. देखो whatever said in 3 Idiots is very important. ज्ञान कहीं से भी मिलो ले लो लपेट लो, especially when it is coming free. I mean दुनिया में free में ज़्यादा you don't get, but in SIT you are getting ज्ञान also free. So लपेट लो. Okay, please keep influencing your friends, family, relatives, and SIT fraternity to join online. Thank you very much and good night. I will stop the recording and few people want to stay back and continue the conversation are free enough to do it. Okay, I'm stopping the conversation here, recording here,
so much,
but
yeah.
the chat box is open.
Thank you very much, Sunil, and looking
Thank
forward to have interactions with you. I will. I wish more and more people will come and take your service, your guidance.
Absolutely. And
Going
yeah,
forward.
always happy to chat about how happiness is looked at in organizations and MSMEs. I'm very passionate about that space as to how people will contribute without being asked to contribute. So I've been in that space and been in that sector. So always happy to have a conversation.
Excellent. Sure. Thank you, Sagar.
I have my salary.
Okay. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night,
Hemant has a
everybody.
question. Hemant, you need to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
One unofficial question. I mean, how can I enroll for a session? I mean, my session. I would like to give a session on something like something on GST or maybe like overall running a business that includes
Bribe
your
me.
accounts, books, and all.
Hemant, bribe me.
Sure.
Chalo, we'll
mean,
have your session next week. We'll have your session next week. I'll also have a word with Dinakar, but very clearly, specifically, you will have to reach out to a topic. कि क्या सिखाना चाहते हो, क्या बताना चाहते हो? Your books, I know your books is one who is going to give a run for the money for Tally Fellows. Okay, so you please come
It
out
will
with
be
what
generic. It should be generic, not I mean specific to your books. I should not be explaining your books as such, but a very generic information about managing your books, accounts, and all. But not next week. I'll need some time, maybe a couple of weeks. I mean, just asking if if we can do it, or I can share the topic and PPT as well.
Hemant, ऐसा कोई hard formality नहीं है. It is just we are looking at there are 1,200 people in SIT fraternity. We are trying to ask people to share whatever they know and what might be helping our fraternity. That's it. Reach out. We have got people in queue. We can always bring up when people want to talk. Rohit, आप क्या सिखाना चाहते हो? You know what I learned from Rohit. This is a couple of months back. I've come to a stage, Sagar, where मुझे किसी की कोई परवाह नहीं है. That is what he told. I don't care. That is what I learned. Something great from Rohit. Dinakar, I think we need to stop the recording. I'm not able to do it from my end. Will you be able to do it, please?
I think there's no recording at that point.
कोई बात नहीं, doesn't matter. मैं वैसे ही बहुत ज्यादा बदनाम हो चुका हूँ. Actually हम लोग ना 10 जगह दिमाग लगा के ना रावण बन जाते हैं. रावण बन के हम लोग भी burst of brains. Okay, so it's better to keep yourself happy and आपके आसपास जो आपके साथ लोग काम कर रहे हैं ना, your employees, your clients, your friends, your relatives, जिनको आप खुश कर सकते हो without being biased or otherwise, आप उनके साथ खुश हो and then move on. उसके अलावा if you have the bandwidth, then go and help others as well. And सिंपल है. उसके अलावा आपको पता ही है उसमें भी मेंढक चूहे सब मिल जाएंगे आपको. पीपल जिनको स्टैप करना है वो स्टैप करेंगे, जिनको बैक बाइटिंग करना है, बैक बैचिंग करना वो करेंगे, जिनको धोखा देना वो करेंगे. एंड believe me, out of every 10 you will get 1 or 2 item pieces in that. So that's the way life it is like. Simple है. इसके अलावा कुछ नहीं है. Either you be the conversation or you leave it. Either you ask the person to leave or you yourself निकल जाओगे. Simple है.
Yes, Sagar, you were telling something. Is it you wanted me to comment or what was it?
No, I was not able to stop the recording. So I wanted to ask whether from your end you'll be able to stop the recording.
Oh, you want me to stop the recording, is it? Okay.
Yes, please. I'm not able to stop. My computer refuses to stop.
Yeah.
सागर आपकी